No, you're missing a part. You're missing a part of that story
What?
because the story actually starts with me. So let's backtrack 2 or 3 months before that actually happened, right? Um, Lewis and I would play this game called Would or Wouldn't, right? And so if a chick walks by in the gym and it's the thumbs up, we would say, okay, I would. Or if she was really hot, we would say, yeah, that's a fucking forest,
That's a
right?
forest of wood. Lots of
Yeah,
wood.
like, like no doubt, what I'm saying? Yeah, like smash or pass, right? Like, it was kind of like that. So, like, so a lot of you guys who are not, experts on, kinesiologists, you may or may not know this concept, but I spent about a year teaching Lewis the concept of hip positioning and how, a neutral hip position looks like one thing. Well, this one chick wants the entire world to look at her ass because she had no titties, right? So what she does is she walks on an anterior pelvic tilt to make it look like she has a larger ass than what she had. Now, if we're being fair, the ass was plenty large, but because she also had little titties and no personality, she really had to accentuate that ass, right? So for whatever reason, Lewis was like really into her, and I'm kind of like, okay, I'm saying if she would let me put it in her butt, maybe I would, but I was kind of like on the edge. Yeah, I'm not really sure, right? So 2 or 3 months later, I run into her by the reception desk. And I don't know what possessed me to do this, but I was like, oh, by the way, there is I was like, oh, I remember what happened. She matches with me on a dating app. She matches with me on Bumble. And the thing is, like, I didn't realize that it was the same person until I saw her at a certain angle. So she lets the timer expire. And then, so on a Sunday morning, I'm working with Lewis. And I kind of like reminded her, I was like, oh, yeah, you did try to match with me on this dating app. And then she tries to make me feel like she was somehow better than me. Oh, yeah, I just swipe right on everybody. Don't think you're special. I'm like, nobody said I was fucking special. So that was kind of strike one. But I was just kind of like, all right, whatever, right? So I see her at the front desk like the very next weekend. And I was just like, well, she's not into the whole poly thing. I'm non-monogamous. I have 2 partners at home already. One or both of them was probably watching the stream. I don't know. In the other room. But she was, talking about, oh yeah, I know what it is. That's not for me, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, all right, I'm out of the running. Even though I'm not all that interested in her, my chance to put in her butt is completely gone. Right. So I was like, well, I know somebody who's actually single that, would, like to see what that booty do. Right. So, I run into her at the front desk and I look, I was like, oh yeah, I know somebody that is kind of interested in you. And she's like, who? She was mad thirsty. She was mad thirsty to know. All right, who is this? And then I was just kind of like, she was like, I was just like, yeah, yeah, he's one of my clients. Oh, what does he look like? Because she was trying to think about, she was trying to think of all the clients that she's seen me with, and I was letting her know. And she was like, oh, the white guy. And I was just like, kind of. She was like, okay, yeah, but, he's kind of short. And I looked at her and I'm like, the fuck is wrong with you? Because she's one of these type of chicks to, throw her neck around and snap her fingers and talk about how horrible men are. But it's like, you're being a fucking height Nazi. Like, all right, so if you're a woman that's looking for a good man, do you want a good man or do you want a tall man? Like that shit kind of, I was like, what? I was like, what does his height have to do with the kind of person that he is? Yeah, I guess you're right. Because that was strike 2 for me. Like she was like starting to become like, she was getting uglier by the second for me. So just like, yo, like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, he's a cool ass dude. At least talk to the motherfucker. All right. She's like, yeah, you're kind of right. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. So I let her know that, he was going to be hitting her up. And then I talked to him, right? So I go, Lewis, so she's going to be expecting you to talk to her. So me and I think a few days later, me and Lewis are standing at the front desk about to check him in. She comes into the building, walks past him first to walk past me. And I'm looking at Lewis. Lewis looks at her. Lewis looks at me, says nothing. Absolutely nothing. She walks past the desk and down the stairs into the gym area. And I looked at him and I was like, pussy. He's like, what? What do you mean?
I'm ordering a protein shake.
Like, you're a fucking pussy. I was like, you're a fucking pussy. He was like, I didn't see her. I was like, nigga, you just looked directly in her fucking face. Don't give me that fucking book. So he looks at me, and I look at him. I'm like, yo, you a fucking. I was like, air what? We could fight about it right here at the reception desk. And he goes, all right, bet. He shuts his mouth. He walks past me, walks down the stairs, and then I'm still at the front desk like, the fuck he gonna do, right? He goes downstairs, right? She's in a session with her trainer who is like, I don't know, twice the size of me and Lewis put together, right? He walks up to her. He doesn't even know that this person's a trainer or boyfriend or nothing. He walks directly up to this guy who's like 7 times his size, and he's like, asks her out right there in front of his face. He went from pussy to gangster in like 3 seconds flat. I was so fucking proud.
This guy, he looks like he benches 3 plates for sets of 15 while yawning with one arm.
Lewis's for sets of 15.
And no, I said, you should come see the show. And she's something like, really? I'm like, yeah, you'll have fun. And then the guy looks at me, and then I like look at the guy and then look back at her, and I'm like,
for the first date.
It's either going to go well or I'm going to be dead. So I took her to I had tickets from this rewards program to, what was the show? The one that was done by the creators of South Park, Book of Mormon.
Now, I want you guys to understand. One of my female clients who was very attractive, not going to mention her name, right? She was referred to me by her fiance, her now fiance, right? Let's make that clear, right? I told her that Lewis took this chick on a first date to a Broadway show, and her response was, where is he? I want to date him. Let's make that clear. And let's talk about that conversation that you had with this woman before you even got to the show. No, it was her trainer. It turned out to be her trainer and not her boyfriend. Thank goodness, because we would have had to scrape Lewis off the ground with a spatula.
This is a bodybuilding gym with people that just spend 5 hours a day there getting jacked and another 5 hours at home injecting themselves with things that allow them to get more jacked. So if I walk in there and I'm able to deadlift 365, I am the weakest person there, including most of the women. It's like the women there deadlift 405 for reps. So that would have been awful. So the first thing that we went on a date. Before we actually get to the show, it becomes a conversation about how I'm probably somewhat evil for being white. I had not seen Book of Mormon yet. I have not seen the show. I didn't know what it was about. We get to the show, and it's about a bunch of people that just start, I don't know how else to put it, they just start shitting on Africa and pretending it has AIDS. It's the people that made South Park put together a musical. And that was...
Hold on 1 second. Player01 says, well, you like her for her booty, but she can't dislike him for his height. Never said that. She countered in the conversation. I had a conversation with her, and she was talking about how much, how difficult it was to find a good man. So that's why I came after her with the height. At the time, we didn't know that she had the personality of a Rice Krispie treat at that time, but we were willing to give her a fucking shot based off of something that we saw that we liked. We were not going to discriminate against her because of other things that weren't so good, that on the surface, and then deeper than the surface we found really wasn't good. Yeah. So I just want to make that clear. We're not saying that she can't like him, she can't dislike him because of his height. What we're saying is you can't complain about there being no good men and then disqualify every man in sight. You can only choose one. Pick one or the other. Yeah,
I know. I noticed what I noticed first, and I will live with the fact that the dates that I had were boring as a result of it. You get what you pay for lack of a better way to put it. That's an
Yeah.
awful way to put it, actually, because I wasn't paying
Yeah.
for a sec. But
Yeah,
so
no doubt.
I would make an awful politician. So after this is done, we go someplace else for a second night out. And this was the month of the CBC News piece, where I'm getting millions of views, more than usual. So instead of my YouTube account, you know, I log in 500 this month, 800 this month, 1,000, 1,200, 1,500 this month. I log in and there's a sizable sum. In addition to that sum, since my basement had gone on fire, some people that probably had a lot better luck in the Bitcoin market than I did, and sold at the 19,000 mark or somewhere near there. I don't know who did it. They donated sizable amounts, and I wound up with a YouTube account that one month that made $23,000 fucking dollars. So I go to the bathroom and I think I was showing her a YouTube video on my phone. This is like 2 years ago, and I was also drinking somewhat, so I don't remember the entire evening. But I go to the bathroom. She was looking at something on my phone. I was showing her a video or something. And then when I get the phone back, I'm on the YouTube Analytics Studio screen, but I was in the YouTube app to show her a video. But now I'm in the YouTube Studio Analytics screen, and then before I looked at my phone to see I was there, she asked me, so what does like YouTube did they like pay you to do videos? And I said, yes, it's a small percentage of my income, because usually it's $500 to maybe $1,500. And if I bring home $3,000 to $7,000 a month, $500 to $1,500 is a small percentage of my income. I hadn't actually checked the YouTube Studio app yet to see what I made that month yet. And I also didn't know that she saw it. So now I said that YouTube makes a small percentage of my income, and she's sitting there thinking, well, this guy must make $500,000 a month. And I'm wondering to myself, like, the rest of the evening went so nicely. Why is she's so much nicer to me now than she was in the beginning? I don't understand. Wow. She's so fucking interested in me now. And then I wound up, like, I found her boring on the phone. I found her boring in person. She called my cat Bitchberry, which was a serious issue that wound up leading to me breaking up with her, I believe, 1 or 2 days later. But I just said, listen, I'm turning 31 years old next month. The woman that I'm going to be with is probably the woman I'm going to spend my life with. I know what I'm looking for at this point. I don't see a future with you, so I don't want to lead you on. And that's that. For like 45 minutes, she's like, "Are you sure? Like, really? Like, wow, goddamn!" And she just like wouldn't let it go for like a good 45 minutes, and it was probably, and like him and his girlfriend is why they're fucking laughing at me the entire way, because they know that I fucked myself. Like, I absolutely, positively fucked myself, because she's thinking in her head, $23,000 is a small percentage of my monthly income. And like, I couldn't have fucked myself more if I tried. Like, that entire situation, man. I could not have fucked myself harder if I tried.
And now this is the same chick. You go to dinner with this chick, the very first dinner, she's telling you how much she doesn't like white men and how they're the devil.
Not like how she hates it, but she's just pouring it on in a way that I wouldn't expect it on the first date.
I mean,
before we go to a musical directed by the people that made South Park, talking about how Africa is full of AIDS. It's like, you couldn't engineer a more fucked up evening if you tried.
Oh my God. Like, I was just, and for me, that was strike 3. And from then on, I mean, she could have been Smeagol for all I knew or care. I was just like, but the thing is, like, I felt like I had to be somewhat personable, since we're colleagues in the field, and we train our clients in the same building. But man, I was just like, I just, and the thing is, like, I'm not the world's biggest animal lover, but when I heard that she called, first I heard that his cat was trying to push her off the bed. That was number one.
Yeah, so Blackberry, usually she sits next to me on my pillow because she loves me and she's my berry. And Blackberry was actually leaning on her like this, and she was pushing. Like, she was actually trying to push her off. Like, what are you doing here, lady? And like, I thought this is absolutely hysterical that my kitty is saying, like, get out of here.